How often does the urge to disappear into the void and not be perceived for a bit creep up on you? Hello, welcome to my channel in 2020 and 2021 and the end of 2019.
Please hold for a very important message.
Hello, welcome to my home office, where I don't know how to manage wires. Being an influencer isn't my day job anymore, it's my side hustle, which admittedly I'm doing a really bad job at of actually uploading. This video is as much as I'm answering questions I always wanted to ask an influencer. It's kind of like tips too. I think some of the top tips I'd give if you're looking to be an influencer, which is a questionable sentence to begin with, is to create space for yourself to be distanced from the thing that you're creating, kind of like emotional sense and also like spiritual sense. Just give it space. Like, what you're creating is an extension of yourself in some ways, but it's also not you. So don't take things personally if you can. And I know that's hypocritical because I totally did. Second, I would say find the fun. Like, obviously following a trend is a great way of growing an audience. Best thing you can do for your own mental health is to make sure that what you're doing is fun and fulfills you in some way. You can look at that on our channel with the carpool karaoke stuff. It was fun. Like, I love driving around with friends. I do it whenever I get a chance, and going to like for what's it called? A drive-through. And just being chill with mates in a car. I think that's key. It's like we found that fun and we kept it going, and you can see in those videos that's what they did well in my mind, because they're genuine fun and joy. Another thing is to have good kit. In this current era, you don't have to have a top of the range laptop to do the editing. I would advise getting a good microphone, but like these days you can get good microphones on headphones, or you can also record into your phone. The microphone on phones is great. Like, it's good for phone calls, so therefore it's good enough for video recording. But audio is actually more important than video half the time. As long as you can be heard, that's the most key. One thing that's key in my view is having a phone that can keep up with you, because you're going to be moving at speed. And I personally have been using the Pixel 6 for the last month since it's been out, and I have to talk to you about it. This video is sponsored by Google Pixel, but you guys will know if you've been around for the channel long enough that I have been a Pixel fanboy since the Pixel 2? Was it the Pixel 1? Yeah. I was kindly gifted the Pixel 6 in this beautiful mint colour. I feel like doing a swatch. Can you see it? So the Pixel 6 is the most fluent Pixel ever. I have been using the live translate feature a fair bit. In my current role, I have to review videos that are sometimes not in English. I can kind of get away with French, but having live translate available is game changing. So I can ask, why not I just do it? Hello, how are you?
Bonjour, comment vas-tu?
Je suis bien, merci beaucoup, et toi?
I am well, thank you very much to you.
What? And the other thing that's really important to me, and this was kind of key as an influencer, but also in my current role, security. You know, there's that meme about the FBI agent that lives inside your computer's like webcam. On the Pixel, you can turn off the microphone and the camera. So it just makes, I don't know, it just gives me this sense of security. Like, I've got manual control over those things, and you can see when an app is using them, which makes me feel warm inside. So if you are interested in looking at the Pixel 6, I really recommend checking it out with the link in the top of my description. Thank you, Google, for sponsoring this video. I thought it would be a really fun game to play where I asked you guys to ask me questions you've always wanted to ask an influencer, because I asked you guys to ask me questions on Instagram and on Twitter, because guess what, I also asked on Twitter. It's like, what is it, 2017? I do influencer marketing, so I feel that doing influencering stuff alongside that adds a sense of gravitas to what I'm talking about. I'm a creative person sometimes, so I like to be creative in this way sometimes. Don't come for me. Look, I still upload Instagram stories. So I had some pretty banging questions, I won't lie. Steph, if you don't know Steph, you've obviously not been watching this channel long enough. She's been a long time viewer. She made me cry at a convention. Thanks, Steph. Do you get paid for meet and greets and conventions? Miss you. Steph, miss you. The answer to that is I have not personally been paid any money to attend a convention. That being said, I've had flights comped and I've had accommodation covered, which, whilst isn't payment, kind of does incentivize it. So something like Playlist Live, which was in Florida in the middle of the British winter, to go to that convention in the first place, the first time I went, I paid my way, paid for everything. It was very expensive, and then my accommodation was always covered for the duration of the event. But if I was like staying for longer, I'd have to pay for my own. I was paid to compare a main stage for an event. I'll let you guess which. It was a very poorly run event, and it has never happened since. So I'll let you fill in the blank. How do you deal with negativity? Is from Andrew. I can hand on heart say that we very luckily never received kind of stuff that I've seen out there online. I think when I did receive it, I had quite a thick skin. Like when I came out online, I anticipated homophobia. But I also anticipated kind of like, yeah, we knew, which in itself is... It didn't bother me. Because by that point in my life, I'd very much decided that I knew myself, and I got validation from my friends and family, not from strangers on the internet. And ultimately, if a stranger on the internet is trying to bring you down, they've got too much time on their hands. Lynn also asked how life is without YouTube running it for me. Very good. I'm still dealing with YouTube every day of my life, and TikTok. I love TikTok. I think it's a lot of fun. And in many ways, TikTok kind of embodies what YouTube did in terms of creativity. I mean, YouTube is still having a moment. It's not going to ever not have a moment in my eyes, but in terms of creators, TikTok is where it's at. YouTuber life was what I expected when I started making videos. No, we spent a great deal of time in front of computers editing videos, which in itself wasn't not what I expected. I love editing videos, it's fun. But it's definitely not what it looks like from the outside. So I see my friends at events and stuff like that. Between that, like, it was very much everyone's in it for, not in it for themselves, but in it alone. And then sometimes you have social stuff. So that's why I like working for Cherry Pick, because I have a team around me and we have fun, we get the work done, but overall the culture is great. And the culture on YouTube or in the influencer landscape is questionable at best. The happiest creators are the ones that don't get involved in the culture, in my opinion. What my worst experience was at Summer in the City. I've never really had a bad experience. There's a lot of, I have an example of hypocrisy that makes me laugh to this day. Like it wasn't a bad experience, but it does make me laugh. I was on a panel with someone that said they would never collaborate with someone and not do a video on their own channel. That's very like hustle, not the energy they bring to their channel. And then 2 weeks later proceeded to do exactly that on our channel and not on theirs. And I found that fun, like, to look back at now. I was a bit offended at the time. But it is what it is. Nicola said, what is the money side of things and what do you get paid for? So on YouTube, you earn AdSense at a certain size, which is like advertising revenue on your channel. It's like pocket money. Like most influencers aren't living off AdSense unless they're getting millions of views. The brand deals are what you get paid for. So a brand will pay influencers to be exposed to their audience if it's a good fit. So say a brand is a game and they are looking for a female audience. They'll look for a creator that has an audience and sponsor to be in their content and make something great. Like there's no point just shoehorning something onto a channel if it makes no sense. And that is what I spend my days doing. There's a lot of dodgy agencies out there that are just like throwing brand deals at channels that make no sense. Carl said, you okay fam? Carl, I am so good. Thanks. Ivana said, why influencer sounds so bad for so many content creators, and do you have any idea on how to change it? Definitely a difference between people that have built their own audience and people that get it off of like going on a TV show and the relationship they have with that audience. So yeah, I don't have an answer to what it could be. I think most people know what an influencer is. Unfortunately, the ones that make the news headlines for like the BBC when rules have been broken tend not to be the ones that have built their own audiences. Are YouTube conventions as fun and glamorous as they appear to be? If you make them that way, yes. As with everything in life, it is what you make it. If you go along and you're determined to have a crap time, you're most likely going to have a crap time. The first year I went to Playlist Live in Florida, I don't even know if Playlist Live is happening anymore, but it was honestly one of the best trips of my life. Like, it was so fun. Katie said, what's the downside to being an influencer? I think there isn't a downside. I mean, the downside is you're self-employed. It's your own steam that gets you places. A lot of it's left down to luck because you're left at the beck and call of algorithms. So that's something I don't miss. But I wouldn't say there's a downside in as much as there's a downside in any job. It is what you make it. I also went on Twitter and asked the same question, and you guys said, what's the worst part about working with brands? Is it having less control over the branded content? Gem. Okay, I have a long answer to this one, but I'll try and be as succinct as possible. Working with brands should be fluid, easy, and fun. and allow you to make content either that you're happy with or that you couldn't make before because it financially is expensive, etc, etc. In my experience as an influencer, the best brand deals have been the ones where the brand is like, we want you to do what you do best, you tell us what will work and we'll just go with you. Obviously there'll be some back and forth, but the worst experience with a brand is when they've kind of said, oh, this is like, okay, I actually very recently at the start of the year had a brand deal that fell through because the brand had just started working with influencers. So they came to us and were like, we want you to show this product in a video in a really organic way. We did exactly that. And they said to the draft video, oh, this is not what we expected. Like, this is so far off what we was anticipating. Honestly, how much do the audience statistics drive decisions for content choice? In other words, how much influence does the audience have on the influencer? A lot. It's kind of like 40% audience input, 60% creator want. So like if the creator's like, do you know what, this is my new series, I'm going to stick with it for whatever. Largely, if the audience isn't there, then the creator's going to stop. So yeah, does that answer the question? The Bitter Egg said, how often does the urge to disappear into the void and not be perceived for a bit creep up on you? Hello, welcome to my channel in 2020 and 2021 and the end of 2019. I disappeared and it felt good. I disappeared and started a career. I disappeared, started a career, and look at me, now I am here. I don't know, is that... Sometimes I rap. For me, the reliance upon my own personality to drive a channel forward dragged and drained, and it took me too long to realise that's what I didn't like. Whenever there was a fail on the channel, i.e. when a video bombed, I would take it really personally, and over time, that chipped away until it was a point where it's like, I'm exhausted. Like, it almost sounds like I'm in denial by saying it on repeat, but I do genuinely mean it, that I'm in such a better place. I guess I wanted to disappear offline without realising for the last couple of years. And the K-pop channel was like a last-ditch effort. In my mind, I don't know how Sammy feels about this, but in my mind it was a last-ditch effort to be like, what we do works. And actually it did. But it wasn't ultimately where my passions lie. And then I had drastic changes in my personal life, so yeah, I need that time to disappear and find myself, but also to be myself. Why are influencers always hiding projects they're working on? I think there's a sense amongst influencers where if they share something too soon, the enthusiasm for it will fizzle out. Couple that with the fact that a lot of influencers feel like they're always grasping to hold on to their audience in some form, like it's like grains of sand falling through their hands. I think that just adds to them being like, I have a secret project coming up, stay tuned. There's this energy around it where it just feels ephemeral and like it's going to disappear. So there's a constant state of anxiety. I feel like that's what it is. Thank you guys for sticking around and asking me questions and I asked for them. That was great. I hope I gave you some insight. I felt a bit like rebellious giving you all the truth. If this video was a bit of you, then I would say subscribe. I don't know when I'm going to upload next. I do try to upload once a month just to check in. So if that's interesting to you, then feel free to subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram, which, you know, is cute. Ciao.